Hello there, a very good evening and welcome to another edition of Primetime News on TV1. I'm Charlotte Benedict for the Newsfirst team.
And I'm Rochelle Tumodra. Let's start off with a look at your headlines for tonight.
Newsfirst headlines. Main sponsor.
Valuable Finance was awarded the Best Finance Company for the third consecutive year.
Sri Lanka's cricket crusaders depart for T20 World Cup with nation's dreams. Nimal Siripala faction and Nimal Lanza's new alliance in talks to change political landscape. Duminda goes to court against Vijayadasa. Again, President calls for action on local poll nominations. Pefferell opposes the move, claiming it a blow to democracy. US warns of potential sanctions after India and Iran sign port deal.
Newsfirst headlines. Main sponsor.
Valuable Finance was awarded the Best Finance Company for the third consecutive year.
Starting off with some exciting news from the world of cricket, the Sri Lankan contingent under the captaincy of Vanidu Hasaranga embarked on their journey for the 2024 T20 World Cup this morning. This year, the World Cup finds its stage set across America and the West Indies, who are sharing hosting duties.
The 9th edition of the ICC Men's T20 World Cup will be jointly hosted by the West Indies and the USA. Comprising a formidable lineup, the Sri Lankan squad features stalwarts such as Angelo Matthews, Charith Asalanka, Kusal Mendis, Pathum Nisanka, Kamidu Mendis, Sadira Samaravikrama, Dasun Shanaka and Dhananjay De Silva. Adding depth and prowess to their bowling arsenal are Mahesh Theekshana, Dunith Velalage, Dushmantha Chamira, Nuwan Tushara, Matisha Patirana and Dilshan Madhushankar. Furthermore, Asitha Fernando, Vijayakant Vyaskant, Bhanuka Rajapaksa and Janith Lianage have been enlisted as reserve players to further fortify the squad. Sri Lankan cricket fans gathered at SLC to wish the men's team ahead of their flight out of the Bandaranaike International Airport.
Sri Lanka! Sri Lanka! Come on, Sri Lanka!
Sri Lanka will play in Group D in the T20 World Cup with South Africa, the Netherlands, Bangladesh and Nepal.
ඉතාලම සතුටු වෙනවා මොකද හොඳින් අපි තරඟාවලියක් පැවැත්වුවා මේකට යන්න කලින් ඉතින් ක්‍රීඩකයෝ සියලුම ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ සුපුරු මේකට වෙලා තියෙනවා ඉතින් සතුටුයි. තාමත් හොඳ එකමුතුවක් තියෙනවා මොකද සීනියර් ප්ලේයර්ස්ලා ජූනියර් ප්ලේයර්ස්ලා ඒගොල්ලන් හොඳ සංකල්පයක් තියෙනවා ඉතින් මම හිතනවා ගොඩක් හොඳ දෙයක් කියලා. අනිවාර්යෙන් ජයග්‍රහණය කරමු.
Sri Lanka's first game in the T20 World Cup will be against South Africa on the 3rd of June. The International Cricket Council announced that ICC cricket rights in Sri Lanka up until the end of 2025 were awarded to MTV Channel Private Limited. MTV will exploit the broadcast rights via their free-to-air channels TV1, Shakti TV and Sirasa TV. The digital rights will be exploited via www.sirasatv.lk and by icc.tv, enabling more fans to watch ICC World events over the next 2 years. The events covered in the deal are the ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2024, ICC Women's T20 World Cup 2024, ICC Under-19 Women's T20 World Cup 2025, ICC Men's Champions Trophy 2025, ICC World Test Championship Final 2025 and ICC Women's Cricket World Cup 2025. With the integration of state-of-the-art technology and insightful commentary, we are fully prepared to deliver live coverage of the T20 World Cup. The excitement begins on the 2nd of June, promising an immersive and engaging experience for cricket enthusiasts.
A significant meeting took place this morning at a local hotel in Maldives, where leaders from 2 political entities engaged in discussions about forming a new political alliance.
Now, the participants included Nimal Siripala De Silva's faction representing the Sri Lanka Freedom Party and the new alliance, which also includes parliamentarian Nimal Lanza. Notably, 20 current members of parliament participated in today's dialogue, representing both sides.
The New Alliance movement that took part in talks with the Nimal Siripala faction of the SLFP included Anura Priyadarshana Yapa, Nimal Lanza, Minister Susil Premajayantha, Minister Nalin Fernando, Priyankara Jayaratna, Udayakantha Gunathilaka, Sudat Manjula, Nimal Piyatissa, M. Musharraf and Ishaq Rahman. Anura Priyadarshana Yapa currently leads the operational aspects of the New Alliance, initiated by MP Nimal Lanza, alongside Nimal Siripala de Silva. Additional attendees included Minister Mahinda Amaravira, State Minister Lasantha Alagiyawanna, State Minister Dr. Suren Raghavan, State Minister Jagat Pushpakumara, Duminda Disanayaka and Veerakumara Disanayaka. The discussion focused on laying out the foundational steps for the new political alliance, with plans underway for a future rally in Hambantota.
අපි කල්පනා කරනවා අපේ කණ්ඩායම මේ විදිහටම ඉදිරියට ගියොත් අපේ කණ්ඩායම සාමාන්‍යයෙන් මන්ත්‍රීවරු 70ක පමණ ප්‍රමාණයක් අවසානයේ අපත් සමග එකතු වෙයි.
එතකොට මේ රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහතාත් එක්ක ගමන යන්නද හදන්නේ?
අපි තාම මේ තීන්දුව තාම ගන්න මැතිවරණයකට දින දියුම කරන්නත් ඕනේ මැතිවරණ අපේක්ෂක වෙන්නත් ඕනේ. ඒ කාරණේ පසෙක තියලා අපි දැනට අපේ දේශපාලන මතවාදී සමාන අදහස් දරන බොහෝ දෙනා එකට එකතු කරලා කාමක බලවේගයක් බවට පත් කිරීමට තමයි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ.
ඔබතුමාලගේ සන්දානේ නමක් තියෙනවද?
දැනට අපි නමක් හැටියට නව සන්දානේ හැටියට තමයි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ. නමුත් මෙතන වෙනත් පක්ෂත් ඉන්නවනේ. ඉතින් ඒ නිසා අපි දැන් මේක තීන්දුව කළා නැහැ.
නායකයෙක් ඉන්නවද සන්දානෙට?
අපි දැන්ම මේක අපි කතා කරන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. අපි හැමෝම පොදු අදහසකින් එකට වඩලා ඉන්නේ. නායකයෝ කවුද කින්නමන්ද කියලා අපි ඉදිරියේදී කියන්නේ.
ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂත් ඒ වගේ.
The Sri Lanka Freedom Party and many independent MPs have joined this movement. We earlier mentioned that the SLFP-led alliance will be formed. Today we had the first round of talks. The independent parliamentarians are here with us today. If we are to carry this country forward, we need to work as one, casting aside our party differences for the sake of the country. All parties echoed this sentiment. Some leaders did not reach the appropriate decisions in time.
ඉන්දුල සමහරලාට නැත්තේ.
ඔබතුමාලට කියනුවානේ ආණ්ඩුවට එක්කන් යන්න හදන්නේ කියලා මේ නිදහස් පක්ෂයේ ඒ චෝදනාව එයි නේද ඍජුවම?
නෑ ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂයවත් අපිත් එක්ක සාකච්ඡා කරපු කිසිම කෙනෙක් අපේක්ෂකෙක් අපි තාම තීන්දුව කළා නෑ. හැබැයි අපි එක පණිවිඩයක් කියනවා රටට ඊළඟ ජනාධිපති කවුරුණත් ඒ ජනාධිපතිවරයා හදන්න මේ කණ්ඩායම තමයි මුල් වෙන්නේ.
කාටද සපෝට් කරන්න කියන තීන්දුව වෙන්නේ තව ඉස්සරහට. අපි දැනට අපේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ ස්වාධීන මතධාරී කණ්ඩායමක් එකතු වෙලා ඉන්නවා. කොහෙද අපේ වාහනේ? හැමතුමා අද සාකච්ඡා මේ බඩු මිල අඩු කරන්නේ කියලා. බඩු මිල අඩු කරන්න බෑනේ මේ මන්ත්‍රීවරුත් එක්ක කතා. ඇයි අම්මෝ නැතු මන්ත්‍රීවරු නැතු කොහොමද බඩු මිල අඩු කරන්නේ? ඒ කියන්නේ මේ නිදහස් පක්ෂ වාහනේ ගන්නකො. හැමතුමා නිදහස් පක්ෂ ඒක අර කට්ටිය කතා කරනවා. දේශපාලන කතා කරන අය වෙනම ඉන්නවා.
Today, a petition was filed before the Columbo District Court seeking an interim order preventing any disruption to Nimal Siripala de Silva, who currently holds the position of acting chairman of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, and Duminda Disanayaka, the acting secretary, in serving in those positions. The petition was filed by parliamentarian Duminda Disanayaka. The background for this request stems from the Kaduvilla District Court's order issued yesterday, which prevents any obstruction to Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa from acting as the new chairman of the party, along with Attorney-at-Law Kirti Udavatta, who currently holds the position of acting General Secretary. During the consideration of Duminda Disanayaka's petition, Chief District Judge of Columbo, Sadhun Vithanage, heard arguments from both sides presented by their respective legal representatives. The petition seeks an order against a group led by Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa. The respondents named in the application are Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa, Sarate Kanayaka, Kirti Udavatta, Nimal Siripala de Silva and Mahinda Amaravira. Duminda Disanayaka's petition contends that Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa's appointment as chairman of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party during a so-called executive committee meeting held on the 12th was not legally valid. They assert their right to pursue legal action against the respondents based on the relevant provisions of the Civil Procedure Code. During the hearing, President's Counsel Romesh De Silva, representing Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa, submitted initial objections, requesting that the petition be dismissed. However, President's Counsel Chandaka Jayasundara, appearing for the petitioner, argued in favour of allowing the petition to continue. The district judge indicated that an order regarding the petition will be issued tomorrow, after taking into account the facts presented by both parties. What's the next election?
United National Party chairman Vajra Abeyewardene today confirmed that Sri Lanka will face a presidential election next.
ආණ්ඩුවේ ප්‍රතිචාරයක් ඒ සඳහා අවශ්‍ය වෙන්නේ නැහැ. විවිධ දේශපාලන බලවේග එකට වැඩ කරනවා. විවිධ මත තියෙනවා. සාකච්ඡා මාර්ගයෙන් අවසන් වෙනවා.
දැන් ජනාධිපතිවරයාට කන්වෙලා කියන්නේ ඒකම අගමැති අපේක්ෂකයෙක් නම් කරන
මේ අවස්ථාවේදී අගමැතිවරයෙක් ඉන්නවා. ඉතින් මේ වෙලාවේ අගමැතිවරයෙක් තෝරන ඡන්දයක් නෙමෙයි තියෙන්නේ. මේ වෙලාවේ තියෙන්නේ ජනාධිපති මැතිවරණයක්. ඉතින් ජනාධිපති මැතිවරණයෙන් පස්සේ පාර්ලිමේන්තු මැතිවරණකින් පස්සේ ওই ප්‍රශ්නේ ඇහුවොත් ඒකට පිළිතුරක් දෙන්න පුළුවන්.
What's the next election?
State Minister Kanaka Herath from the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna says that President Ranil Wickremesinghe is the most suitable to become the next presidential candidate. He also expressed views on the talks held between Basil Rajapaksa and Ranil Wickremesinghe.
අපි හිතනවා ඉදිරියේදීත් ජනාධිපතිතුමාගේ නායකත්වයෙන් අපිට මම හිතන්නේ වසර 5ක ඉදිරි වැඩ කටයුතු තුලින් අපේ රට ස්ථාවර තත්ත්වයටපත් වෙලා සංවර්ධනය කරා යන්න හැකියාව ලැබෙයි. ඔබතුමාගේ නිර්මාතෘවරයා සහ ජනාධිපතිතුමා අතර සාකච්ඡාව දිගින් දිගටම දිග්ගැස්සෙන අසාර්ථක වේගෙන දෙන්නේ. මම දකින්නේ නැහැ ඒක අසාර්ථකත්වයක්. ඒකේ මම හිතන්නේ අසාර්ථක නම් එකපාරෙම දෙවතාවකින් සාකච්ඡාව අවසන් වෙනවා. නමුත් අපිට කාලය තව තියෙනවා. ඔබතුමා හිතන හැටියට කවුරු සුදුස්සා? ඉන්න නායකයන්ගෙන් දැනට අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම සුදුස්සා ජනාධිපතිතුමා.
What's the next election?
During a media briefing convened by the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna at party headquarters in Nelumawatha today, journalists raised questions as to if Namal Rajapaksa was fit to become the SLPP presidential candidate.
දැන් තරුණයෙක්ට ජාතික සංවිධායකකම දීලා තියෙනවා. කැමති නැද්ද ජනාධිපති අපේක්ෂකයා විදිහට ඉදිරිපත් කරන්න?
තරුණයෙකුට ජනාධිපති අපේක්ෂකයේ ධූරය දෙනවා නම් ඇත්තටම අපි කැමති.
We would love it if a youth is nominated as the presidential candidate, but he must have a system to run the country. We currently have a talented national organizer. If the party decides to nominate him as the presidential candidate, we will support that decision.
යම් මොහොතක අපි ජනාධිපති අපේක්ෂකයා විදියට මේ පුද්ගලයා නම් කරනවා කියලා ඒ මතයත් එක්ක එකතු වෙන්න අපි සූදානම්ින් ඉන්නවා.
දැන් පක්ෂයේ බරාදීන ප්‍රධාන තරතුරක් මේ ජාතික සංවිධායක ධූරය. ඒක මේ වෙලාවේ නාමල් රාජපක්ෂ මැතිතුමාට දුන්නා කියන්නේ පක්ෂයේ ඉන්න සුදුසුම කෙනා එතුමා වෙන්න එපේ. ඒතකොට එතුමා නෙමෙයිද ජනාධිපති අපේක්ෂකත්වයේ සුදුසුම කෙනා?
නෑ එතුමා ජාතික සංවිධානයේ
Holding the post of national organizer doesn't automatically mean that he is suitable to become the presidential candidate.
කාරණයක් නැහැනේ.
The President has directed the Cabinet to take appropriate actions regarding the cancellation of nominations related to local government polls. At the Cabinet meeting held last evening, the President had instructed for preparations to be made for the Provincial Council elections to be held next year.
Additionally, Cabinet spokesman Minister Bandula Gunawardena has confirmed that the presidential election will take place this year as the necessary funding has already been allocated.
At the cabinet meeting, the President gave certain instructions to the Prime Minister. Nominations have already been accepted for the local government election, and during Parliament sessions and other fora, comments have been made stating that some of the public sector employees who submitted nominations are facing issues over their employment and that they are also facing financial issues. He directed to consult the Attorney General and other parties on terminating the nominations that have been accepted for the local government election. Secondly, he also instructed the Prime Minister to initiate discussions with the Attorney General, Elections Commissioner, party leaders and other factions with regard to conducting the Provincial Council elections as per the previous methods with increased female representation.
අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම පළාත් සභා ඡන්දය පැවැත්වෙනවා.
අවශ්‍යම පැවැත්වේ. මේ වර්ෂයේ තුලදී ජනාධිපතිවරණය පැවැත්වේ. මොකද ඒ සඳහා මුදල් වෙන් කරලා තිබෙන නිසා.
PAFREL convened a media briefing today and spoke about the preparations to annul the nominations that were submitted for the local government election.
If these nominations are annulled, about 1 billion rupees of the people's money spent will be lost. We consider the fact that such decisions are made based on whims and fancies. The most recent reason for this is, as we say it, is the government's attempts to establish community development committees. It has been proposed for members of these committees to be appointed after being nominated by the governor and approved by the Prime Minister. PAFREL and the Election Commission have voiced their objection against this. Against such a backdrop where both PAFREL and the Election Commission has objected to it, the government cannot appoint individuals who have already submitted nominations into this new committee. According to the circular issued by the government, they have stressed that since the local government elections are still in effect, political parties and candidates cannot be promoted during government development programs. That is a stance that the Election Commission has clearly taken. That is the reason why the government has brought up this suddenly. This is clearly an attempt to rob the votes of the people.
ඉතාම පැහැදිලිව මේ රටේ ජනතාවගේ ජනවරම මංගොල්ල කැමරට දරන උත්සාහයක් ඇතිට අපි මේක දකිනවා.
Now, the Cabinet of Ministers yesterday granted policy approval for the initial draft of the Economic Transformation Bill. Accordingly, the clearance of the Attorney General has been received for the draft bill.
Addressing the inauguration of the Atharugiriya National Institute of Plantation Management's new academic and administrative complex this morning, President Ranil Wickremesinghe spoke about the draft bill. Negotiations are underway with our creditors, both governmental and private, as we navigate through these discussions and prepare to address the economic challenges ahead. We have to pay back the loans we took. We have a grace period to pay the debt. It is not possible to avoid paying the debt. We cannot continue borrowing money indefinitely all the time. The imperative of transitioning towards an export-oriented economy becomes ever more apparent. The recent cabinet approval of draft legislation aimed at fostering an export-driven economy marks a significant step forward. Now we are working to modernize agriculture in the country and create an export agriculture industry.
Professor Charita Herath expressed views on the proposed bill in Parliament today.
Now everything is focused on the IMF's agenda. However, if the IMF's agenda is flawed, it's important to remember that similar plans have failed 16 times before. When these plans fail, the country suffer. Therefore, it's wrong for successive governments and presidents to enact long-term economic laws without broader public agreement and through economic investigations. Neglecting the concerns raised by Mahinda Rajapaksa, a popular leader, is a mistake. The ruling party has a responsibility to hear him out. We have been voicing our concerns since July 2022. While you may not listen to us, please consider Mahinda Rajapaksa's perspective. Those in power from the SLPP have a responsibility. It is wrong for the cabinet to solely consider short-term political gains when enacting fiscal and economic policies.
Speaking in Parliament today, the opposition leader said that there is an attempt to introduce new laws to suppress the media through the Sri Lanka Telecommunications Amendment Bill that has been submitted to Parliament. He said the draft bill should be withdrawn.
This draft contains many proposals that are harmful for free media. It proposes a fee to obtain a media license and a program to cancel license by interrupting the public interest as decided by the Commission. Free and independent media should exist in a free nation. All of us who are bound to protect democracy strongly condemn these sections of the Sri Lanka Telecommunications Act and object to it. We will challenge it in court. But before doing so, I request the government to withdraw this, because you do not have the right to make decisions regarding public interest and the media interest of this country. Regardless of public interest, TRCSL officials are canvassing for parliamentarians to join the government. It is not the responsibility of the TRCSL. If the TRCSL is given the authority to interpret, media freedom in the country will be destroyed.
ඒව ගැන අර්ථකථනය කරන්න ලබා දුන්නොත් මේ රටේ මාධ්‍ය නිදහස ඉවරටම ඉවරයි. මේ වගන්ති ටික ඉල්ලාස් කරගන්න. මේක සම්බන්ධව මාධ්‍ය ආයතන එක්ක විද්වත් කතිකාවක් කරන්න. ඒ වගේම මේ ශාස්ත්‍රයේ ඉන්න ප්‍රවීණයන් එක්ක සාකච්ඡා
Have expert discussions with media organizations regarding this matter and discussions with experts in the field been done. Make amendments to it after conducting an assessment on the pros and cons. Otherwise, a wrong idea against this will become popular in society, leading to a grave situation. A few people will have the authority to control the media, especially through the media license. From what I know, you may have to pay for it. When such authority is given, the amount of extortion also increases. Regardless of who holds the post, the leader of the House should present the bill. After it is submitted to Parliament, you can file legal action within the specified days. You can canvass in court. I will bring this to the attention of the TRCSL. From what you said, I believe you didn't table this bill willingly. It doesn't matter. It's only just a matter of time. Many parties point out that serious issues will be created through the electricity bill that has been submitted to Parliament.
The Electricity Users Association collected signatures on a public petition in Nugegoda today, demanding that the electricity bill to be withdrawn immediately as it includes proposals that harm the country's sovereignty.
Mahinda Rajapaksa made a statement to suspend the sale of state-owned assets. Minister Kanchana Wijesekara is shouting in Parliament saying that he will not sell state assets. This is a joke. If Minister Kanchana Wijesekara is acting outside of procedure, we challenge you to expel him from the party.
The Electricity Users Association protested opposite the Fort Railway Station today and collected signatures for a public petition. The National Bhikkhu Front organised a Satyagraha campaign in Kandy, Ambalipitia, Anuradhapura and Polonnaruwa today to protest against the new bill that segregates the Ceylon Electricity Board and attempts to sell state resources.
Newsfirst with the people.
Valuable Finance was awarded the Best Finance Company for the third consecutive year.
Welcome back to the news. The Secretary to the Ministry of Public Security and the Controller General for Immigration and Immigration had been summoned to the Committee on Public Finance over the recent handing over of several services connected to issuing visas to a foreign company.
The chairman of the Committee on Public Finance raised a privilege issue in Parliament today and said that these officials did not appear before the committee.
Yesterday, we got a letter from the Ministry of Public Security signed by the Senior Assistant Secretary. The letter said that the meeting will be attended by Secretary P.V. Gunathilaka, Additional Secretary Karuna Ratna, Chief Financial Officer Pathirana, Legal Officer Upasiri and Pereira, Sub-Inspector and Personal Assistant to the Secretary will appear before our committee. The Department of Immigration and Immigration had sent a letter yesterday. Mr. H.J. Ilukpitia, Controller General, Imal Gunawardhana, Additional Controller, Pete Jayasinghe, Chief Accountant and Assistant Director IT. The second date of the discussion on awarding the services to IVS VFS was scheduled for today. We have not said anything to the media. We protected our professionalism and fulfilled our duty. But we are extremely dismayed that none of them appeared before the committee today. Last evening, a WhatsApp message was sent to the Secretary of Parliament saying that they cannot attend the hearing since they cannot find some files since their officers were changed in 2016. That is not an acceptable excuse. I saw the WhatsApp at 7:30 in the evening and I said that this cannot be done and asked them to come to attend the meeting. This is a violation of privileges. The Parliament has the power to take action against this. When an official is summoned to Parliament, he has no right to refuse to attend.
එතකොට පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට කැඳෙව්වහම නිලධාරියට නෑවිත් ඉන්න හැකියාවක් නැහැ.
The Secretary of the Ministry of Public Security says that they requested for a period of 7 days to appear before the committee. The Secretary added that the request was made in writing after the Ministry was notified of the matter by the Secretary to the committee.
The trade union action launched by university non-academic staff is ongoing for a 13th day today. They have now reached a decision to intensify the trade union action as the cabinet did not approve the proposal to resolve their issues yesterday.
It was announced yesterday that the approval of the Ministry of Finance should be obtained for the proposal submitted to the Cabinet regarding the salary and allowances requests made by university non-academic staff. It will be presented to the Cabinet once again after receiving the decision of the Finance Ministry. Following the joint discussion held in Columbo today by trade unions representing all universities, it was announced that university non-academic staff will also withdraw from essential services from tomorrow.
The indefinite strike launched in the university system continues for the 14th day today. What we've been told is that it was postponed temporarily and that it was directed to the Finance Ministry to obtain its observations. The situation was created within the university system as a result of the arbitrary salary cuts by the Finance Ministry officials. We have reservations regarding the move to inquire details from the same faction that created this issue. We request the Cabinet to look into this through the committee appointed by the Cabinet and intervene to provide solutions. The entire university system has collapsed as a result of the trade union action. Trade union representatives who convened today unanimously reached a decision to withdraw from essential services as well. We will stop the water and electricity supply and withdraw from internet facilities as well. With these disruptions, many activities at universities will come to a standstill.
Today, several hospitals in the Sabaragamuwa province experienced disruptions due to a strike initiated by 72 trade unions within the health sector, including nurses. The Health Trade Union Alliance cited delays in implementing agreements as the reason behind the strike. This action follows a similar strike that began last Thursday in the North Central province. In that instance, health trade unions protested against the non-implementation by the Ministry of Health on demands for economic justice. Unfortunately, the strike has significantly affected patients in the region, causing considerable inconvenience. Village-level administrative services have been crippled by a trade union action launched by Gram Niladhari personnel. They engaged in the trade union action by reporting sick. The three-day trade union action by Gram Niladhari personnel stems from multiple demands, including a wage increase. The trade body said that 12,400 Gram Niladhari personnel are engaged in the action. Many Gram Niladhari officers were closed today, and the Gram Niladhari personnel did not report to the divisional secretariats as well.
Now, India extended the ban on the LTTE for 5 years.
The Indian central government has extended the ban on the Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam, or the LTTE, for another 5 years under subsections 1 and 3 of Section 3 of the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act 1967, 37 of 1967, with immediate effect. The notification states that the LTTE's continued violent and disruptive activities are prejudicial to the integrity and sovereignty of India, and it continues to adopt a strong anti-India posture, as it also continues to pose a grave threat to the security of Indian nationals.
Up next is the Newsfirst Finance Report.
The Newsfirst Finance Report.
The International Monetary Fund warned the Maldives against looming debt distress Monday as the small but strategically placed luxury tourist destination looks set to borrow more from main creditor China. Since winning office last year, President Mohamed Muitsu has reoriented the atoll nation, known for its upmarket beach resorts and celebrity vacationers, away from traditional benefactor India and towards Beijing. Last month, his party won parliamentary elections in a landslide after promising to build thousands of apartments, reclaim more land for urban development, and upgrade airports, all with Chinese funding. Without naming the archipelago's main lender, the IMF said the Maldives remained at high risk of external and overall debt distress without significant policy changes. It urged the Maldives to urgently raise revenue, cut spending, and reduce external borrowing to avoid a major economic crisis. The Maldives is a small nation of 1,192 tiny coral islets scattered 800 kilometers across the equator, but it strategically straddles key east-west international shipping routes. Tourism is a crucial source of foreign exchange for the country, home to white sandy beaches and secluded resorts offering Robinson Crusoe-style holidays. The Indian Ocean Rim Association Business Conclave, organized by the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce in collaboration with the Minister of Foreign Affairs on the 28th and 29th of May, will focus on sectors significant to the economic development and prosperity of the Indian Ocean Rim region, including agriculture, ICT, logistics and tourism, including breakout sessions on SME development and women empowerment. Participating countries expressing keen interest in these sectors include Australia, Bangladesh, France, India, Iran, Madagascar, Malaysia, Maldives, Mauritius and Turkey, among others, ensuring significant business networking and facilitation opportunities, and capitalize on emerging trends, unlocking the immense potential of the Indian Ocean Rim region.
The Newsfirst Finance Report.
Now, the war in Gaza between Hamas and Israel are still ongoing. As you all know, thousands of people have died, hundreds of thousands have lost their lives. The Free Palestine Movement in Sri Lanka held an awareness program regarding the events in the region in Columbo today.
An awareness program by the Free Palestine Movement in Sri Lanka took place at the public library in Colombo. The Palestinian ambassador to Sri Lanka was among those present.
Your voices matter and your voice reached all the world. All came after you. What's going on in the United States nowadays and the universities there stand up after you, the Sri Lankan here. What's going on in universities in Europe, the same. So really thank you very much for all your efforts, for all your initiatives. You are giving us the push to continue despite all the pain that we have, despite all the atrocities that we are suffering, despite the genocide that they are practicing with us.
A keynote speech was delivered by the President's Council M.M. Suhari.
If you go back 100 years ago, if you see the globe, any part of the world, you will never see a state called Israel 100 years ago. But 100 years ago, there was a state called Palestine, and this country today is on a killing spree, completely destroying what was Palestine other than the state in which they are living. You may call it a revolutionary change, take place within 100 years. No human being can be expected to see the murder of innocent people under the guise of attacking, killing Hamas, under the guise of rescuing those who were abducted by Hamas. But they had not made any attempt to finish off Hamas, because Hamas is a good excuse for them to finish off the entire Palestine.
The event also featured an open mic session as well as an exhibition alongside various performances.
The Israel-Hamas war was a topic raised in Parliament as well.
Bragging about the achievement of the president. What is the achievement? He says, we have balanced Israelis and Iranians. We got the Iranian president to come here, and we also sent our naval force to Red Sea. What a shame, Mr. Foreign Minister. You claim that this is one of the biggest achievements in foreign policy. What a shame. And what about your Labour Minister? He is sending his people. The poor Sri Lankan workers are being sent to Israel. To do what? To work in the Israeli farms to fill the vacancies created by the poor Gaza civilians. Because of the economic plight your government has pushed this country into, there is no other means.
We took part in the Combined Marine Forces because it's in our interest. I think, just because the Honourable Member wants to cut all ties with Israel, we as a country will also look in at Sri Lanka's interest. And that does not mean that we will abandon the people of Palestine. And I think the Honourable Member is extremely jealous with the attitude of the foreign policy which we have taken and the good links which we have all countries with the President. So I'm very sorry that the Honourable Member feels this way.
If you want to really help the poor Gaza people, call for action in the International Criminal Court against Israel. Support that. Support the cause of South African government.
It is also important to note that there is a complicit arrangement between Hamas and the State of Israel. Much the same way the Easter bombing happened in this country. It is always useful for leaders of countries whose popularity is dipping to show an enemy of the state. and then become popular on that. This is the most heinous way of remaining in power. We have seen that happening in this country too. But what's happening in the Palestine is being exposed by right-thinking people in the Western nations today. Not only in the Western nations, but right-thinking Jewish people. This is not an internal affair of Israel as much as what happened in this country is not an internal affair of Sri Lanka. When international crimes are committed, it's an international concern. We are hypocritical when we say what happened in Sri Lanka is an internal matter for Sri Lanka, but what happens in Palestine is not an internal matter for Israel.
The impact of AI on human behavior was discussed during a workshop held today.
The importance of ethics in technological advancements was highlighted during a workshop held at the National Science Foundation today.
Ethics aim to protect participants from harm and promote their welfare. Acts safeguard participants from harm caused by science and experimentation. It's the most valuable component in research to protect your valuable participants, protect good research and partnerships as well. So who needs protection? The traditional belief is that vulnerable communities, people who live in prisons, disaster-affected population, children. But what about low and middle-income countries? Aren't we vulnerable? And high-income, low-income countries, there is definitely a power differential and we need to be mindful, but good collaborative research can happen. Now, data sharing and management, one of the big issues in international collaborating research, there can be clear guidelines for storage sharing. Not sharing data is unethical. It has to be shared, can be shared. This involves balancing the need for data sharing to promote scientific progress with protection of privacy, confidentiality, and data ownerships.
The benefits of AI and concerns relating to behavioral changes as a result of AI technology was also discussed during the workshop.
The answer is yes at the moment. The clinician is responsible for whatever they do. They can't say, but the AI suggested this. And that's because the AI is put into the space with a clear statement and a clear understanding that you are responsible for what you do. The AI is a decision aid only. So yes, the clinician is entirely responsible. The question of whether or not that is fair, given the problems we've just outlined with atrophy of vigilance being very foreseeable, and the fact that the AI can't explain what's going on, but it's supposed to be better than the doctor, that's why it's there. There's a big question mark over whether that is ethically fair, but it's absolutely legal at the moment. Yeah.
Rehearsals are underway in Columbo for a unique production put between the PPA of the Bishop's College and OBA of St. Thomas's College, Mount Lavinia. Back to Stage will feature the talents of students and alumni. Both of Bishop's College and St. Thomas's College is set to take centre stage on 17th and 18th May in Columbo.
Behind these curtains and within these walls lies more than just academic pursuit. Here, a spirit ignites, a passion for the arts that burns bright. Music, dance, drama, a symphony of talent waiting to be unleashed.
Bishop's College and St. Thomas's College, two prestigious institutions in Colombo, share a rich heritage and tradition. But this legacy extends far beyond the classrooms, where it encompasses a vibrant spirit of music, dance, and drama.
Quite a few schools have done this thing of back to school, and where they provide old boys and old girls or past pupils the opportunity to come back to school. So we thought, why not provide this similar opportunity to students or who are now alumni of both schools, an opportunity to come back to stage, particularly those who have been involved in singing and dancing and drama, skits, etc., so that they can relive their memories from school days of performing in theatre productions, in musicals, etc. We have some interesting combinations that have come up. We have a father-sons combination, we have some mother-daughter combinations, and we have teacher-student combinations. We look forward to presenting this to you. Do come over Friday 17th and Saturday 18th at the Bishop's College Auditorium. 7 p.m. onwards, tickets available at Bishop's College PPA office.
The performers from both schools have performed on stage when they were in school, basically. For them, like most of them are mums now, dads, or they are kind of working people, and for them to come together again to perform is something that is unique about this concert, I should say.
Back during the school days, I was always on this stage performing for each and every event. And being back here on this stage brings me so much of excitement, and it takes me back to my school days. And I'm really excited to perform in front of you all back at school stage.
To celebrate this rich heritage and to bring back some nostalgia, the Past Pupils Association of Bishop's College and the Old Boys Association of St. Thomas's College bring together Back to Stage. Now this unique production will bring back together the students and alumni of both schools for an unforgettable evening of beautiful and amazing performances.
Back to Stage. Not just a performance, but a resurrection. A night where students and alumni, past and present, rise from the pages of history and reclaim their rightful place, the center stage.
Mass social media campaign Act to Prevent, which aims to raise awareness regarding leprosy, was launched in Columbo today.
The Anti-Leprosy Campaign Sri Lanka, in partnership with the Alliance Development Trust, has designed a mass social media campaign, Act to Prevent, in light of the ongoing work related to leprosy eradication in Sri Lanka. The launch event was held at the Sri Lanka Foundation Institute with the participation of varying personalities of society, including Secretary to the Minister of Health, Dr. P.G. Mahipala, former Sri Lankan cricketer Roshan Mahanama, and Director of the Anti-Leprosy Campaign, Dr. Nirupa Palyawatha, to strengthen the engagement and reach within communities.
Anti-Leprosy Campaign was started in 1954, and through social marketing program, it's a huge and massive social media program we have undertaken in 1990s, and we were able to declare the leprosy also eliminated status in 1996. But leprosy is 1 in 10,000 population, so that means leprosy is still there, but we call it as elimination because transmission is much low and interrupted. But again we start to see leprosy cases, therefore the ministry has revamped the entire program and now moving strongly to ensure that within short period of time that we are going to eliminate leprosy as well. As a disease, it's a chronic disease, and incubation period is such it may go up to not 3-4 years, even 10, 15, 20 years and even more. So therefore it's not easy that you reach the elimination status and ensure that no cases are being reported. So we need to follow up the population for quite long time for once we declare elimination. Leprosy, we have a strong treatment, promising treatment, and there are two kinds of leprosy, and one you need to take treatment for 6 months, the other one you have to take treatment for 1 year. And if you take the treatment continuously for 6 months and 1 year, you are free from leprosy. So very promising, strong medical intervention is there. Then of course we are much focusing on contact tracing. If you find one patient, all the contacts are being traced, and then of course we take the necessary measures.
The focus of our trust is children, and when Dr. Prasad said that we are ranked number 2 in the world in terms of leprosy patients, I think that's a focus area that I can focus through the Roshan Mahanama Trust and create awareness.
The anti-leprosy campaign aims to address the importance of early case detection and prevent further complications such as patient disabilities through unconventional methods of spreading awareness of leprosy. Crews set off a chain of carefully placed explosives to break down the largest remaining span of the collapsed Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore, and with a boom and a splash, the mangled steel trusses came crashing down into the river below. The explosives flashed orange and lit off plumes of black smoke upon detonation. The longest trusses toppled away from the grounded Dali container ship and slid off its bow, sending a wall of water splashing back toward the ship. It marked a major step in freeing the Dali, which has been stuck among the wreckage since it lost power and crashed into one of the bridge's support columns shortly after leaving Baltimore on the 26th of March. 14 people were killed and at least 60 injured after a billboard collapsed during a fierce storm in Mumbai. The billboard was opposite the fuel station. Visuals show the structure crashing down right in the middle of the refueling facility. The civic authorities are looking into whether the billboard advertisement agency had permission to install the structure. The metal frame of the billboard tore through the roof of several cars that were at the fuel station. Mumbai was caught off guard by the strong dust storm, which crippled transport, uprooted trees and structures, and led to power outage in many districts of the financial capital. India signed a 10-year contract with Iran to develop and operate the Iranian port of Chabahar, the Narendra Modi-led government said, strengthening relations with a strategic Middle Eastern nation. India has been developing the port in Chabahar on Iran's southeastern coast along the Gulf of Oman as a way to transport goods to Iran, Afghanistan and Central Asian countries, bypassing the port of Karachi and Gwadar in its rival Pakistan. The United States has said any country having business dealings with Iran runs the risk of sanctions, noting that it is aware that Iran and India have signed a deal concerning the Chabahar port.
So we're aware of these reports that Iran and India have signed a deal concerning the Chabahar port. I will let the government of India speak to its own foreign policy goals vis-a-vis the Chabahar port, as well as its own bilateral relationship with Iran. I will just say, as it relates to the United States, U.S. sanctions on Iran remain in place and will continue to enforce them. You've heard us say this in a number of instances. Any entity, anyone considering business deals with Iran, they need to be aware of the potential risk that they are opening themselves up to and the potential risk of sanctions.
Up next is the Road to World Cup segment.
Remember the name!
The ICC T20 World Cup.
From the time the T20 Cricket World Cup commenced in 2007, it was held as a tournament with 12 teams till 2012. The number of teams was increased to 16 in 2012. Accordingly, from 2014 to 2022, 16 teams took part in the tournament. The International Cricket Council reached a decision to increase the number of teams joining the T20 Cricket World Cup to 20, and the first such tournament will be held this year. The event is split up into 4 groups consisting of 5 teams, with the top 2 sides from each group then progressing to the Super 8 phase of the tournament ahead of the knockout semi-finals and final. Uganda, Canada and co-hosts USA will feature in the Men's T20 World Cup for the first time. The ICC took steps to grant co-hosting rights to the USA, where cricket is less popular, to create a cricket frenzy in that country as well.
The ICC T20 World Cup.
And that's a wrap of Primetime News on TV1 for tonight.
Thank you for watching. Good night.